Inevitably, once we started our own individual interiors in class, questions came up about creating elements that we didn't cover in our basic tutorial in the prior weeks. So I have here an ordinary cube, and I'm going to introduce two new tools we can take a look at and you can use if you choose to create a couch that is comprised of just one element. So we're going to add two tools to our shelf. Now, if you recall, to add tools to the shelf, on the Mac we hold Command-Shift. On the PC it would be Control-Shift. And with Command-Shift held, I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, and up near the top you'll see the word Extrude. Now you'll see on your shelf a flat poly plane, and then above it an orange polygon. Now we're going to add one more tool, and then we'll be set to do this. Once again, Command-Shift. I'm going to go to Mesh Tools, and then Insert Edge Loop. Now I clicked on it twice, so I'll delete one of them. You'll see now that the edge loop tool is a white grid with a dashed orange line on the left. I'm going to click on that first. And this will allow me to add polygon faces in a much more discriminating fashion, very particular places. I'm going to click and drop an edge on the left-hand side. And what I did was, when I clicked on the edge, it gave me a new edge perpendicular to the original, going in the opposite direction. I'm going to go down to the other end of the rectangle and do the same there. I'll click, and I can reposition it with the mouse before I let go, or I can use my Move tool, and when it's brown, I can move that as well. Now, if in the event I wanted to move a path after I'd gone back to my object mode, I could right-click, choose Edge, and in the case of this basic shape, I could double-click on an existing edge and it will go around and get the whole thing. Now this only happens when we're using our basic rudimentary shapes. I'm going to add one more along the back so we can pull up the back of our couch. Once again, I've got the edge loop. I'll click on a line that's perpendicular to the path I want to drop. And now I've got these areas along the back and sides that will allow me to pull up, using the Extrude tool, the back and the arms as one piece. I'll return to my W on the keyboard, my object mode. I'll right-click and choose Face. I'm going to Shift select the faces I would like to add geometry and pull up to get that basic arm and back configuration. Once I've got them selected, I can see that they're brown, and now I'm going to click on the Extrude tool. That's the poly plane, that little white plane, with the orange polygon pointing out up from it. I'm going to click on it, and you'll see the tool that's been introduced has got all three components of transform, rotate, and scale, so you wouldn't need W, E, and R on the keyboard for this. The first thing I want to do is drag up that newly generated group of polygons. I'm going to go over to my x-axis, the one that's vertical to the surface of my polygon, and I'm going to click on the arrowhead and pull it up. Once I've got the height I think I want, I'm going to right-click and go back to object mode. So in this process, it's a combination of dragging up the polygons and then refining them as we go. Now I want this to be much rounder. I'm going to hit 3 for the proxy. And if I take a look at this, it's really kind of anamorphic. I want it to be a little bit more boxy, but still have a round edge. I'll return to 1 on the keyboard. And once again, I'm going to click on the edge loop tool. Now if I were to go and click, I want to drag a line across the back of the couch and along the sides of the arms. I'm going to click anywhere on the vertical edge, and you'll see, again, perpendicular to the edge I clicked on, this path has been generated all the way around my geometry. I'm going to get my Move tool, and I'm going to move that up a little bit closer. Now, the way this works is if the path is still selected, you were to go to your proxy, as you drag, you'll see you can control exactly how much of a rounded edge you want on your surfaces. I'll hit 1 on the keyboard, and I'm going to go in now and very quickly drop a few more edges. And you can see that now my geometry is starting to hold together on this side of the couch. Once again, I'll go back to 1, and I'm going to put some more paths in here. And each time I drag a path, it shores up that particular edge. I'll hit 3 on the keyboard, and I need a little bit more here to box out the back, so I'll click and drag inside here, this side here, and then I'm going to drag one that goes across the back like so. Once again, I'll hit my proxy, and you can see we've put together a pretty respectable couch with a very simple polygon count to our object. You can see how simple that is. Now in this instance, we're going to use the same Extrude tool and the Edge Loop tool, but on a polygon surface. I'm going to right-click, choose Edge, and I'm going to click on one of the edges. I'll now click on the Extrude tool, and I can pull a surface out from that, and you'll see now it's just one edge. And I'm going to extrude an edge from that one as well. So if I took my time, I could make a closed out box. Now at this point, I could go back to the object mode, and I could get the Edge Loop tool, and if I click on one of the edges, I can run an edge around that. Be scaled, moved, the same way as if it were a polygon. Now the advantage of this would be that if you work in a game environment or on a computer with its limitations as far as the CPU goes, you can manage a file size with far fewer rectangles than we have used in the past. Now I'm going to do one last thing. I'm going to seal where the open gap is. I'm going to hold Command Shift, and I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, and I'm going to choose Merge to Center. And you'll see now an orange disk. I'll right-click, choose Vertex, select both of them, click on the button. I'll move to the next one, marquee select those two, and I have two options. I can click on the orange disk again, or I can hit G on the keyboard. G will let you repeat the previous function in Maya, which can be handy if you're doing 4 or 5 or 20 seams or vertices that you have to snap together, or any other tool for that matter. So there's a quick overview of the Extrude tool and the Edge Loop tool, both used on polygons.